Hey everybody, I'm in Hong Kong. Joey and I are in Hong Kong still. We're going to be here for a while. And I just wanted to go live. I know it's in the middle of Independence Day. I know it's in the middle of 4th of July celebrations. I know everybody's probably watching fireworks right now and lighting off fireworks and drinking and partying and eating and celebrating with their families. And being in Hong Kong and knowing that everybody back home is celebrating Independence Day, it just breaks my heart so much, because these poor people here, they are fighting for their independence. Very similar to what our forefathers were doing. Our forefathers were very young, they were very brave, they were very courageous, and they were using their belief in God and their belief in something bigger than themselves to give themselves the courage to stand up and fight for their freedoms and not back down. And it's so sad. It's you guys, I can't even explain to you how heartbreaking it is to talk to these people on the streets, these people from Hong Kong. Hi, Melissa. It's so heartbreaking to talk to these people and see the fear and the anger and the heartbreak in their eyes. And I feel guilty because I live in America where we still have most of our freedoms. I mean, they're being eroded away slowly but surely every single day with all the new laws and everything. But I actually feel guilty because here we are as Americans walking around with American flags, walking around as free people, and we're talking to these poor people who have tears in their eyes, they have anger in their hearts. Yesterday, Joey and I went flag waving in front of the Chinese army complex. Okay, so in the middle of Hong Kong, which is still sort of a free society, they have a communist China complex. There are army men there, and it's all surrounded by a wall. You can't really see in. There's one little gate, and we're flag waving American flags in front of there. And we just happened to run into a Cold War veteran who had a Betsy Ross flag. It was completely awesome. Like, it was just a total divine thing that Joey and I went down there to flag wave. Of course, it was his idea because he comes up with all the brilliant ideas. And we wanted a flag wave in front of the communist China people. And we were doing that. And while we're down there, we see a war veteran, and he's got a Betsy Ross flag. And he, of course, he knew what was going on with the Betsy Ross flag in the United States, and so he decided to bring that flag down that day. So anyway, when we're down there, and this one guy comes up to Joey, a Hong Kong citizen comes up to Joey, and he was so angry. He was so angry, and he comes up and he's like, I couldn't hear what he was saying. All I could see was him making these motions and the look on his face, because I was standing about 10 yards away at the time. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to start a fight with Joey, because, some people, not everybody's happy that we're here. Most people are, but not everybody's happy. And once I got closer to him and I heard what he was saying, it took everything in me not to break down in tears. He's a 27-year-old man. He's married. He and his wife are Christian. He says he feels complete shame that he didn't get involved in the fight 10 years ago, like when he turned 18 or whatever. He said he feels totally shameful and guilty that he didn't get involved then, and that he is just devastated that he knows that very soon they're not going to have any more rights left, And he's talking about freedom of thought, just freedom of thought, and then the freedom to be able to have whatever job you want. And freedom of thought, they keep calling it freedom of thought, which is interesting, because in the States we call it freedom of religion, and here they call it more freedom of thought. So, but that encompasses also their freedom of religion. And he was so worried that he wasn't going to be able to have all the freedoms that he's grown up with in the last 27 years, that they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone. I mean, they're going away slowly but surely, but they're going to be gone. These are things that we don't have to worry about yet in America. We don't think we do. There's a lot of us that know that we actually do have to worry about this, because every new law and all these things that are happening are slowly chipping away at our freedoms and turning us more and more communist. Believe it or not, you can call it whatever you want, but every freedom that we get taken away with a new law or new bill or whatever is just turning us a little bit more and more into what communist China is. I mean, I don't think people realize that, but it's that bad. So it's that whole metaphor with the boiling frog. You stick a frog in a boiling pot of water, they're going to jump right out. But if you slowly turn up the heat, they don't even notice that they're getting boiled alive. And that's what's happening in America. Now here, because they only had 50 years to sort of transform from a completely free society to a complete communist society, they only have until the year 2047, the heat is turned up a little bit higher. So they're getting boiled faster so they can see it. They can see it, they recognize it. And all the young people here, it's amazing. I asked the guy, his name was Petros, and I guess it's a derivative of Peter. It's another name for Peter. I asked him, I said, why does it seem like it's all the young people, like super young, like 17, 14, 18, 20. I mean, these people that we were out in the streets with the other night were so young. And there were some older people too, but like 90% of them were so young. I said, why is it that all the young people are fighting and the older people aren't fighting? Like, they should know better too. I mean, they've had more years on this planet to know, right? And he just said it's because they don't have anything to lose. He's like, they don't own houses, they don't have businesses, they don't have anything to lose yet. So if they go and you know, let's say they get arrested or something for protesting, they don't really have much to lose. So they're really passionate about it, and they can see it. Whereas the older generations are afraid of losing what they've worked for. So I thought that was interesting, because you'd think that the older generations would be fighting for their children and their grandchildren and stuff, but they're not fighting as much as the young people are. So it just reminded me so much of our founding fathers, because they were so young. I mean, they were like teenagers. They were so young. I mean, I cannot believe our teenagers now, all they, you know, they have their head in their cell phones and they're just playing video games all day long. You know, most of them have never even had a job. They're just so privileged and their heads stuck in the sand. It's baffling to me. The teenagers, you know, a couple hundred years ago were fighting the British and murdering people for their freedoms. You know, I mean, it's like baffling to me how different we have become, and we become so complacent in it. It's like sickening to me that it breaks my heart. It's sickening to me. It breaks my heart that we're so complacent. And then I see these Hong Kong people who are all banding together and fighting for what we already have. And we just take it for granted, you know? We just take it for granted. Hi, Haley. Hi, Brittany. Oh my gosh, I thought you guys would all be celebrating. And I'm sure most of you are celebrating. And yeah, we should celebrate freedom, but you know what? Freedom is not free. And we need to remember that freedom is not free. And the problems that are here in Hong Kong, I feel like it's God like waving a red flag to the rest of the world and saying, pay attention. Pay attention. Look at what's happening here. You know, this could happen anywhere. It just happens to be happening faster here than it is happening in other places. It's really happening everywhere. I mean, all the elitists want to take over and control everybody. That's just the bottom line. I mean, the people who run the world, they want to take control of everybody, and they don't want anybody to have freedom. Ultimately, they want everybody to be communist, you know, little commie slaves. That's what they want. They want slaves. They want everybody to obey their rules. They want everybody to make them money, and they want everybody to fall in line. And I cannot tell you how inspiring it is to watch these young people. I mean, there were literally 2 million out of 7 million people on the street. 2 million out of 7 million citizens were on the street. Can you imagine if Americans did that? Like a third of our population, close to a third of our population, if we banded together and said absolutely not to the elitists who want to control us. Can you imagine? That would be 100 million people. 100 million people. Do you get the magnitude of that? But we're so freaking complacent, and we're too busy watching TV all day long, and, you know, like, oh, look at that Netflix show, and does anybody watch that Netflix show? And how about, you know, it's like, I don't even have Netflix, never used it, have no idea how to use my TV. I have a smart TV, I have no idea how to use it. I cannot even fathom giving a crap about any Netflix show or any show on TV for that matter, because it's all bullshit. And it's all designed to lull us and keep us entertained, give them bread in a circus, and they won't rebel against you. I mean, that's the bottom line. You know, these people are so much more awake here than we are in the States. It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. It's completely mortifying and embarrassing. Yes, Joseph, the young generation is spoiled everywhere. Hey, Brittany, I love you, miss you. Thank you guys so much for, ask me questions if you want. I'm going to try to answer them because I can actually see the screen. The other night when we were in the protest, I couldn't even see the screen. Melissa, I can't imagine their emotional agony, just the idea of them becoming enslaved in silence after knowing what freedom is like. Exactly. So they know what freedom is like. They've tasted it. They've lived it for over 100 years. And now they want to extradite the Hong Kong people to mainland China for processing if they're a criminal. What's a criminal? What's a criminal? Did I run a red light? Do I have a traffic ticket? Did I, say something wrong? What is a criminal? Like, what is going to get me extradited to mainland China? And once they're there, they're not coming back. So in my opinion, and I've thought about this a lot, I know it's obviously to squash freedom of speech, why they want this extradition bill. They don't want people speaking out against the government. They don't want anybody rising up and having power and they want to control people, obviously. But I honestly believe that the reason why the bill is an extradition bill is because they have to get the people who are fighting against the government out of Hong Kong. They have to get them out of Hong Kong or they'll never be able to take it over. So I honestly believe that they want all the people that actually have an opinion and that are rising up, they're going to label them criminals and they're going to get them all into mainland China and out of Hong Kong. Because if they don't get them out of Hong Kong, there is no way that they can defeat 2 million people. How can they defeat 2 million people? Yeah, they don't have guns, but they have numbers. And unless China wants to just nuke Hong Kong, which is they can't because it's such a world power. Unless China just wants to nuke Hong Kong, they cannot defeat 2 million people on the street fighting them. And they can't slaughter them because then, everybody in the world will declare war on China, right? They can't just slaughter 2 million people. They can't do that. There's too many eyes, there's too much media, there's too much social media and everything else. So they have to do it slowly. And in my opinion, the reason why they want the extradition bill is so that they can label anybody they want as a criminal and extradite them to mainland China, and then they're never coming back. They're done. So you can do the smallest thing, get extradited, and you're gone. You're no longer a Hong Kong citizen. You're now a criminal in China. You're either going to be executed or put in, be enslaved for the rest of your life because you're a criminal and you've been speaking out against the communist Chinese government. And then you're done. So slowly but surely, they will get all of those 2 million protesters off the street, and then they'll be able to take over. That's my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that's my opinion. That's what I'm being shown and told, just spiritually. I mean, I've been praying a lot since I've been here. I've been asking God for guidance. I've been asking to be shown what is really happening here. What is really going on, and it really is just it's very simple. It really is just another takeover of another takeover to enslave people. And that's all it is. That's what communism is. So while you're all celebrating in America, you're celebrating Independence Day, it's amazing. Just remember that, history repeats itself, and it's repeating itself in America too. And it's repeating itself here in Hong Kong too. And these people are so awake and brave. I mean, they don't have guns. They're not fighting the Chinese army and the police with guns, but they're fighting them with numbers and with solidarity. The solidarity here is unbelievable. They are literally working in assembly lines. It's like ants, you see an ant line, they're all taking food back to the queen and this and that. They are working so methodically and efficiently. They were carrying water bottles in the building that they were taking over. They took over the legislative building. They were carrying water bottles one by one. They were passing them. They created a line, an assembly line of people that was half a mile long, taking water bottles in, taking umbrellas in, because umbrellas were to protect themselves from getting pepper sprayed. And then they were moving materials out, building materials. They dismantled the legislative building. They completely dismantled it. And they were moving the materials out. They had 2 assembly lines. They had one going out and one going in. And they had just people standing there like soldiers. Amazing, beautiful, peaceful, quiet. It was quiet. It was peaceful. And they were moving water bottles and umbrellas in. They were moving building materials out. It was a beautiful thing to see. It really was. I mean, not that we condone dismantling a legislative building, but that's what they did. Okay, and maybe it's desperate times call for desperate measures, perhaps. They don't want to hurt anybody, but they wanted to say, no, this is still a democracy, and we're taking over. This is our building. I mean, I'm sure that's the message that they wanted to send. And that's fine. But, you know, we don't necessarily agree with that. But that's what they did. I mean, they did it. And they did it beautifully in a way because they were so peaceful about the whole thing. They were so peaceful. Let me read some of your questions or comments if you guys have questions. Oh my gosh. Hey, Barb. Hi, Barb. I miss you. Hey, Vanessa. Larry. Hey, Larry. Thank you. Christine, Jeremy. Our president did good today. Yeah, we saw on the news that he did super, super good. That was a huge crowd that he had. The exact purpose of the Second Amendment. It's really, I mean, the only thing that's keeping us from being taken over by anybody is our Second Amendment. And thank God for our Second Amendment. I mean, if it wasn't for our Second Amendment, we could be taken over too. And I praise God for that every single day. I'm like, wow, you know, because everybody that hates freedom wants to take over America, but there's no way they can take over America. You know, it's like the 400 million guns. Good luck, right? So that's why we have to hold on so strongly to our gun rights. You know, we can't let a couple of sensational things that are happening or a couple of bad things that happen spoil it for our country. Because if without our guns, we don't have an America anymore. We will be communist China without our guns. So we have to make sure we protect those with everything that we have. I mean, it's just insane. We can't let that slip. Every little gun law gets us closer and closer to communism. We can't let that slip. You're welcome, everybody. Let's see. They are more awake than the left here. The left is trying to destroy our Constitution so that they can take us all over. Hong Kong people are the opposite of the left here in the U.S. That's correct. They're completely peaceful. They're completely they were so nice. Joey and I walked into the protest and we had shirts that had American flags. So they knew that we were American, and we had baseball caps on, and we had sunglasses with us, but we didn't have them on. We had masks with us, but we didn't have them on. And immediately the protesters were like, here, you need to take this hard hat. Take this hard hat. You have to wear this. You know, protect yourself. Protect yourself. They gave me goggles. They gave us extra masks. They gave me Visine for my eyes because after we got tear gassed. I mean, they're the nicest, most caring people. They were making sure I didn't step on anything that was dangerous. They were making sure that when we were all running away from the tear gas, that I didn't step in a pothole. You know, they're so caring. They even cleaned up their trash off the street. They literally, you know, there were so many of them. Of course, there was trash and water bottles and stuff everywhere. And people were picking up their trash and putting it in trash bags as they were protesting. They were making sure that they did not leave that street a mess. I mean, the whole city block. I mean, they had the entire city block filled with people. They made sure that they cleaned up every last thing, and it looked cleaner afterwards than it did before. Because before there was random trash and stuff like that, just like you'd see anywhere. Literally the next day we went to the area where there was a protest, and it looked like the pristine, perfectly clean, not a scratch or a mark anywhere on the ground, not a piece of trash anywhere. I mean, it looked like the cleanest place you've ever seen in America. It was unbelievable. We felt like we were in the Twilight Zone. We were like, where is all the stuff? Where is everything? Was there a protest here the other night? It was unbelievable, you guys. They protested, they did their thing, they sent their message. There was probably 100,000 of them out there that night. And then they cleaned up everything and made it look perfect, like they were never even there after the fact. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. In the United States, they would have trashed everything, destroyed it, started burning cars, burning buildings, destroyed everything, and nobody would have done anything about it. They would have just left it, right? Completely left it. I mean, there's no respect at all. This is what light working does. Masks and sunglasses. Yes, we have email. Lisa, you can always message us at Patriot Prayer. You can send us messages and then we can respond to them. Oh my God, the place was like, it looked like you could eat off the floor after that protest was over. It was weird. Like I seriously felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. It was super, super weird. Yeah, LA and San Francisco are literal shitholes. Yeah, this is like the opposite of that. I mean, I feel safe. I would have never come here if I didn't feel safe. You know, I had some people saying like, oh my God, you're in a communist country, be careful, you know, you're gonna go to jail, you're not gonna come back, you have a daughter at home, and this and that. I've been to Hong Kong before. I've been to mainland China twice. I've been to Hong Kong once before. I feel totally safe here. It's not like mainland China. I feel like I just went to New York City, but it's more compacted. It's kind of like that. Everybody speaks English. Everybody's very nice. And the protesters were just absolutely unbelievable. They didn't want to be shown on our camera. They were afraid. They were super, super afraid of the facial recognition technology. They were really scared of that. And they didn't want their faces to be shown, even though they had masks on. So they had masks on the whole night. I think it was honestly just so they wouldn't be recognized because they're so afraid of communist China, you know, because they knew that, you know, they weren't going to get sprayed right then. There were no police around yet, and they all were wearing masks no matter what. They didn't want to be shown. They were genuinely scared. There was fear in their eyes. It was really, really sad. Thanks, Lisa. These people, this is such a spiritual thing, you guys. I don't know if the people in Macau are involved, Joseph. I'm not really sure about that. We've just been staying in this area. We've been staying in the Hong Kong area. This weekend, though, there is another protest happening in Hong Kong, but on the other side, on the Kowloon side. So we're going to go there. So you're going to see. We'll probably go live from there. I don't know what time it will be. Your time might be like midnight, your time, when we go live. But we're going to do that. And hopefully, you know, we'll get to show you guys what's really happening on the ground there too. So that'll be really, really cool. Yeah, they're afraid. They know there's going to be censorship when China takes over. They know they're not going to have freedom of thought. They know they're not going to have free internet anymore. Can you imagine if this was happening right now in America? I mean, can you imagine if Canada was actually China and we knew that in a few short decades we were going to be completely communist? I mean, like, put yourself in that situation for a second. Like, I started crying in the shower this morning because I'm putting myself in the shoes of these people who want to have children. Some of them do have, many of them obviously do have children. They want to have children. They know freedom. They know what it's like. And they know that very soon they're not going to have any of that. It's going to be gone. They're not going to be able to work where they want, say what they want, worship who they want, believe what they want. They're not going to be able to go where they want, live where they want, any of it. Can you imagine? It's going to be completely gone. And what are we doing as Americans? We're just sitting there celebrating our 4th of July, drinking our beer, eating our hot dogs, watching our fireworks, and like living in our little American bubble that, oh, we have freedom, everything's good in the world. It's not good in the world. It's not. And people are saying to us, it's not your fight. Why are you in Hong Kong? Who cares? Come home. We need you here. I get it, okay? I get it. There's plenty of fights to be had in America. But you guys, what happens over here can happen anywhere, okay? And you need to wake up and realize that. It can happen anywhere. It's such a pivotal time in history. This is massive.
China's our enemy too.
Yeah, China is our enemy as well. You know, as Americans, China's our enemy, and China's the enemy of the Hong Kong people too. So we should be in this fight together, really. We should be in this fight together. And I'm learning so much about that now that I'm here and seeing it with my own eyes. I mean, part of the reason why Joey wanted to come, biggest reason why Joey wanted to come was for his own spiritual reasons, but because they're not airing this in the States. They're not showing you what's happening. They'll maybe give you a little blip on TV and then you'll hear nothing about it again. It's like a little blip and then, oh yeah, everything's fine. Oh, look, you know, whatever. And screw Trump and blah, blah, blah. It's like, why isn't the entire world focused on this and helping? Why is the entire world speaking out against communism? Communism is slavery. It is literal slavery. Actual literal slavery. Okay? We think we abolish slavery. We never abolish slavery. Exists everywhere in this world. And communism is literal slavery. I watched a mini documentary the other day that the BBC did on China. And what I saw, honestly, I've been to China twice before. Okay, I've seen the darkest, most terrible, disgusting, disturbing parts of China. Okay, because I have to drive through these places to get to factories that I do business with. Very good factories, but to get there, you see a lot of crazy stuff along the way. Every time I've gone to see my factories, I've seen people dead on the side of the road, presumably dead on the side of the road. Nobody helps them. They just lay there. Literally, people get hit by cars and nobody does anything about it. People on bikes. There's a ton of bikes, ton of mopeds. These people get hit on their bikes and on their mopeds, and they're there with their bike and their moped mangled, and nobody is doing anything. Okay? It's terrible. So I already knew, like, oh my God, you know, that I can't believe people live like this. You know, it made me so sad and sick at the same time to see that, you know, in the rural parts of China. But my point is, the BBC did a documentary on China education camps, okay? And this one woman who, her crime was that she had the WhatsApp app on her phone. And then she ended up going to this China re-education camp for like a year or two. And what they do is they basically make you say, I love communism. They make you, it's almost like you're writing, like when you get in trouble in elementary school and you have to write, like, I promise I will never spit at the teacher ever again. You have to write that 2 million times. That's what they make these people do. They just drill it into their head over and over and over and over and over. It was insane. So the BBC went into this education place of education, they call it. And it's really just an indoctrination camp, a concentration camp, to make sure that the people are brainwashed enough and they have to pass their brainwashing in order to get released back into society. And it takes them 1 to 2 years. Okay? That's just for having a freaking app on her phone. A WhatsApp app on her phone. That was her crime. And she was in there. And so the BBC, I'll post a link to that that little mini documentary they did. It was only like 10 minutes long. But I watched that and I couldn't even believe these places exist in the 21st century. These places exist and nobody in the world, none of these world powers, America included, are doing nothing about it. Like this isn't a fucking humanitarian crisis. Are you kidding me? Like, we're worried about people, you know, claiming asylum on the southern border and most of them aren't even really, you know, there for asylum. But there's literally millions of people enslaved in China, which is a country that we do business with, we have to do business with on a regular basis, and nobody is even like paying attention or blinking an eye. I mean, they don't even know. I didn't even know that those camps existed until the BBC just did that little mini documentary on it. I had no idea. Let me read some of your... Thank you, Larry. Yes, you're right about that. They said that they don't have the social status, what's it called? What's the social...
social score.
The social score yet here, but they suspect that, you know, it's coming soon.
They're rating everybody, though.
Karen, I don't know what you mean. You said, look at the ethnicity of many of these American senators writing these bills. It's not a coincidence. So can you explain what you mean by that? Yeah.
Facebook is helping with the social score.
Oh yeah, all the facial recognition. Snapchat is like a CIA. Hi CIA. Every time I go on there, I'm like, hey, I'm just playing with CIA today, because they have that facial recognition where they change your face and they can do anything they want with it, which scares me because they can probably do anything they want with your face and post your face anywhere and make you into a criminal if they want. Yeah, these American colleges are definitely indoctrinating people, obviously. Chinese, yeah. Yeah, that's true. In California, you're right, Karen. Are you in California? Because, yeah, Senator Pan, I believe he's Chinese, and he's just trying to remove all parental rights, medical rights and parental rights. And he is Chinese. I don't know how much that's influenced his decision or not, but he's a terrible person. I don't care what his ethnicity is. He's a terrible, terrible person. So yeah, many Chinese soldiers are here in California just laying in wait to rise up when it's time.
Yeah. Number one immigrants into the country are Chinese.
Yeah, and they're also buying up all of our real estate too in California. I know that they're one of the biggest purchasers of cash real estate transactions in California. So they're definitely infiltrating and starting to take over. We need to just be mindful. You know, I have nothing against Chinese people, but I do have something against communism. You know, and we all should. We all do. I mean, that's why we created America, right? We created America for freedom, so that we're not slaves. And then we're just going to go back there because we're not paying attention. We need to be paying attention. We need to not be watching Game of Thrones and whatever the F else everybody likes to watch these days that lull them into just complacency and a sense of like freedom and security because they're happy, they're feeling happy, they're getting high off of their, partying, they're getting high off of movies and TV watching is like the absolute worst. They're getting high off all these things, so they think everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm living in America. I'm living in La La Land. Everything's just fine. It's not just fine, and we need to pay attention, and we need to, all of us, spread the word and really, really, really be a voice for freedom. All of us. Because if we don't now, it's not going to be there anymore. California is owned by China, pretty much. Hey, Matt, how's it going? You guys, it's just unbelievable here. We're gonna post some interviews that we've done with people. I interviewed a 17-year-old kid, and I was asking him a lot about what was going on at the protest and how they feel about it. He's scared to death. He was Christian. He's scared to death. I mean, he was like really, really passionate about it. And he was only 17 years old. 17 years old, and he's out there fighting for his country. Our 17-year-olds are like still figuring out how to tie their shoes in America. I mean, it's pathetic. We're pathetic, you guys. We're the most complacent, uneducated, unaware, asleep society that there is in the entire world that I know of. Everywhere I've been to, people don't love Americans. They think we're dumb, and we are dumb. We really are dumb. I mean, I've heard that from so many people, like, oh yeah, America's great and all this stuff. But yeah, we just call you guys a bunch of Yanks. You're just like, whatever. They don't have respect for Americans because we're all so dumb. And we all just like, we just want to like have fun and whatever. But we don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. And they know that. It's really sad. Like I learned that back in 2006. Was 2006? I went to Australia, and it was such an awakening. It was my first time out of the country. It was such a big, rude awakening for me. They told me to my face how stupid they think Americans are, and how the entire world like laughs at Americans because we're so stupid, And I was like, what? America's the best, land of the free. We're amazing. What are you talking about? How could anybody not like us? You know? And of course they personally liked us, but they just think as a whole, Americans are just like idiots. It's crazy. And I've heard that a number of times, not just once, a number of times. It's really sad. But we think, we have these like delusions of grandeur about America. We think we're just so perfect and great. There's so many wonderful things about America, obviously. That's why everybody wants to come there so they can have what we have, which is our freedoms and in a lot of places, good weather and great places to live and whatever. But we've got a lot of problems, you guys. We've got a lot of problems. And one of those problems, one of our main problems is complacency. We are way too complacent. Way too complacent. I'm sorry. I'm still tired. We got to change that. And it's up to all of us to educate, because the indoctrination that happens in colleges and schools these days is maddening. The indoctrination. I mean, that's where Antifas start getting indoctrinated. I read an article this morning. The guy was talking all about how all the colleges and the professors are so far left liberal, and they actually believe in violence in order to prevent the opposite message. I mean, that's like their whole platform. Like, let's be violent and hurt people to get them to shut up, So, and that's happening in our schools and in our colleges. They're indoctrinating and they're creating members of Antifa who are supposedly anti-fascist, but they're the most fascist group we have. They're domestic terrorists, let's just face it, So we need everybody's help. Everybody's got to get involved. Like, this has been such an eye-opening experience for me. It's like more than I even thought, and we're not even halfway done with our experience. It's just been so spiritual and really sad and angry. I've been angry at times. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I've been in tears a couple times just, talking to these people who are like, soon to be slaves. Soon to be slaves, That's it. And we need to look at ourselves as no different from that. We need to look at ourselves as Americans as no different from that. Their water's boiling a little bit faster than our water's boiling. They have Joseph, what are you saying? It's not dumb Americans so much anymore. They have a new term, Baizu, for American liberals. Yeah, Matt, we are complacent. Raven says, I honestly think most of the Chinese people want freedom. They just don't know how to gather it and obtain it. Of course they do. Yeah, they do want freedom, but they're not allowed to say that. And they're not allowed to speak out against their own government. They're not even allowed to think about it.
They might not even understand what freedom is.
Yeah, most of them don't understand really what freedom is. Most of them don't understand it. So, and they never will, unless communism gets completely squashed. They just won't ever understand it. Does anybody have questions? I wasn't really expecting anybody to come on because I was expecting everybody to be... You saw my twin in DC today? Who's my twin? Joseph. Lobbyist equals New World Order. Probably can't disagree with that. But I'm curious who my twin is. In California, a little more action means hours and hours, and more driving can only do so much. Yeah, I live in California too. And, thank God for social media. We can spread the word through social media. That's what I'm doing right now. That's what we're doing. If it wasn't for social media, Patriot Prayer wouldn't be as big as it is. I mean, so you don't have to drive anywhere to use the internet, right? So use it. Use the internet. How do the Chinese people that you've come in contact with feel about our president? We haven't talked so much about Trump to the Chinese people. We did talk to a guy yesterday who was from England.
Libtard.
He was he was a liberal. He was a nice guy. He said that he doesn't agree with everything that he lives here. He's lived here for years and he loves Hong Kong, but he's from England. And he was a white guy from England, but he he was basically saying that he doesn't agree with everything that Trump says, but that he's kind of doing some things, and he didn't really want to, like, I don't know if he wanted to say too much because he didn't know where we stood about Trump. Maybe he didn't want to, like, cause a fight with us, but he was like, yeah, I don't really agree with everything he does or says, but he seems to be making some headway, basically, but we haven't really talked too much to the Hong Kong people about it. Hi, Christy. It's time for citizens to march into Washington and put some common sense in Congress. Of course. Yeah. I mean, Million Man March. They had 2 million out of 7 million people on the street. They had like a third of their population on the street fighting against communist China. If we had that, we'd have 100 million people marching. But everybody's too busy watching Game of Thrones and playing stupid video games. So yeah, until we can stop being lulled by our screens. I mean, I don't mind if you're being lulled by your screen and you're learning something and you're on social media reading and trying to figure stuff out. But if you're watching freaking Game of Thrones and playing video games all day, you're not going to be marching on the Capitol for our freedoms, right? We have to change that. I have a daughter. She's 8. She does not get screen time. Like, she gets to use the internet here and there. If I'm in a situation where I'm making her sit there completely bored and I'm having like an adult conversation at dinner or something for an hour, she gets to watch her little, how to make slime videos or whatever on YouTube, okay? I feel bad, her sitting there just staring at me if I'm having an adult conversation. So I do let her have a little bit of screen time. But she doesn't have a phone. She doesn't have her own iPad. It's like, no. You're going to be constructive, and if you're going to watch something on YouTube, you're going to watch something that might help you or that might be educational. So she'll watch animal videos or how to make things. She likes to watch sewing videos and stuff. But the brainless complacency that our youth has right now is going to destroy our society. The brainless complacency, just brainless. Everything they do is brainless entertainment. Candy Crush. I can't tell you how many 40-something-year-olds I know that just play Candy Crush all day long. I'm like, what are you? You're like my generation. You're not supposed to be playing Candy Crush. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is what you're doing with your life? You're playing Candy Crush for 15 hours? Oh, I really got to beat this person. Oh, it's so frustrating. Blah, blah, blah. Candy Crush. Like, seriously. The most mindless. I've never even played it. I don't know how to play it, but I watch other people. I'm like, seriously, this is your entertainment? Candy Crush? Like, why don't you figure out how to go shoot some guns and, like, save the world? I don't know. Like, that's my idea of a good time. Candy Crush? Like, really? The most brainless, lame freaking game ever? Like, you gotta be, I can't even believe it's no, what? Play chess. Like, have a conversation with somebody. Go to a coffee shop and make friends. Like, start talking about things that matter. Care about your society and your community. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing anything for your community? What are you doing for your community? Anything? Or are you just like cruising through life hoping that everybody else will take care of the problem? That's what most people do. That's what I did for a long time. So I can't really fault everybody for that because, we were all there at one point. We're all like lulled by society, just like cruising along and doing our thing. I get it. But with social media and with how much there is out there now on social media about social injustices, like real social injustices, like legit. I'm not talking about which bathroom are we going to use, which, you can argue with me about that. I think that's nothing. Zero. Nothing compared to the slavery of millions and millions and millions of people in China. The literal slavery. Okay? So I don't care if you identify as anything and you want to go in a different bathroom. Could give a crap. Okay? There's way bigger fish to fry as far as I'm concerned. And we should all be concerned about that. So, I'm sorry. I'm a little passionate about this because I'm sitting here on boots on the ground in Hong Kong and I'm seeing the demise of this democracy right before my eyes, and it's frightening. It is absolutely frightening, and we should all be scared, and we should all take note. And the governments need to take heed from what's going on with these people here, because they are really banded together, and they know that, like, strength in numbers, and they're doing a really, 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 really good job of strength in numbers. And we need to take note. In America, we need to take note of the strength in numbers. I mean, what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do? Are you going to grow up, have kids, have a couple grandkids, die, and be like, yeah, I didn't do anything but play Candy Crush all day, but shit, I beat all my friends at Candy Crush, woo! Seriously? Can we do something else besides Candy Crush and Game of Thrones? Anything. Just pick a thing and do it. Get out on the street, go volunteer. There's plenty of causes to fight for that are local. If you don't care about world causes, fight for a local cause. There's plenty of them. Just in my county alone, there's like 3,000 nonprofit organizations or something crazy like that. Like, people don't even know that these things exist. There's so many fights. Pick one. There is something. I know that there's something that you're passionate about. There's something that eats you up inside, whether it's homelessness, whether it's, women being beaten by their spouses and then they're left on the street without their homes and just their children. They needed somewhere to go. There's so many things. If it's the veterans, we have homeless veterans. We have so many people that need our help right there in California, right there on the West Coast, right there in America. Yes, you can pick a local cause, because everybody's got a different talent. Everybody's got a different passion. My passion happens to be saving the world. So, whatever that means. Like, I just want to save the world. Like, the world involves all of us. I care about the local causes, but I want to save it all. Okay? So, whatever that means is where I'm going to go. Like, I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to go wherever that takes me. Whatever that means. That doesn't mean I'm doing anything physically more than anybody else. But I'm going to do something, okay? And everybody who's watching this right now, thank you. I'm so glad you're watching. And I'm so glad that you're fortunate enough to be with your families or celebrate 4th of July, Independence Day. And that's why I was so passionate about this today, because it is Independence Day back home. And it actually made me angry that we're all, everybody back home is just celebrating and drinking beer and getting wasted and barbecuing and lighting off fireworks and woo, look at us, we're free. And then I'm over here a stone's throw away from millions and millions and millions of people enslaved by their own government, and nobody gives a crap. It's like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. The absolute Twilight Zone. Americans over there, just on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, it's not that far. It is, but it isn't. All celebrating, not giving a crap. I don't fault you all for that. I understand. But I'm like sitting here as an American where all my people are celebrating, and I'm over here with all these people who are just heartbroken and completely afraid for their lives. It's a really weird place to be. It's a really weird place to be spiritually. Like, I can't even be happy for our freedoms back home. I can't. Don't care. I can't even be happy about it. It's so heartbreaking to see this and to see these people's fear and sadness in their eyes, and then they get angry, like they get like physically angry, and they show you how angry they are. It takes everything in me not to cry when I'm talking to these people. I have to like stop and like take a breath and just like pretend like I'm okay, I don't know how much longer I can do that, but I wasn't okay this morning, and I was just so upset with the Independence Day versus the, communism, that's the slavery over here. I didn't know what to do. I just bawled. I bawled in the shower. It was super sad. I had a nightmare, a really, really bad nightmare last night. I woke up bawling my eyes out. I went in the shower. I bawled some more. Whatever, I'm a big baby. I don't know. It's a spiritual thing, I guess. But I'm just asking everybody to pick a passion. Pick anything that pisses you off. And then go fix it. There's so many things that piss you off, I guarantee it. There's so many things that piss you off. It can be the littlest thing. It can be a huge thing. It can be something in your neighborhood, cleaning up trash or homelessness. It can be something with the whole state of California or whatever state you're in. It can be anything. Pick a passion. Pick something that pisses you off and let it fuel the fire to make a difference. And then that will grow. You'll inspire more people to do that over and over and over again. It grows. It's like a spider web. So just start somewhere and do something, please. Or do nothing. It's fine. But, if you believe you're going to be judged at the end of this, which I do believe that, whether you believe in karma or Jesus or whatever you believe in, it's not if you win or lose, but it is how you play the game. I mean, the old saying goes like that. And it really is true. I really believe that. That just if you try and you have heart and you have conviction and you care, all that's great. But without action, it kind of means nothing. It kind of means nothing. You can't just put your head down and pretend like everything's okay. It doesn't work that way. Just nothing's going to happen. I can believe all I want that slavery is bad and communism is bad. Everything's bad. It's all bad. But if I do nothing about it, I'm just as good as the slave owner, right? I mean, seriously. Am I wrong? I don't know. Let me try to read some of your... Johnny Depp is a spokesperson for abused husbands? That's interesting. I thought he beat up his spouse.
He abused himself with drugs.
He did. Sherry says, all those people marching, but what did it change? I'm guessing nothing. Governments do not...
They shot down the extradition bill.
Governments do not care about just marching. They will just ignore it and do what they want. There has to be a better way. Sherry.
They shot it down.
Sherry, there's been millions of people in the street here, okay? The Chinese Communist government cannot just nuke 2 million protesters, okay? That's what they would have to do to stop that many people. They would pretty much have to set off a nuclear bomb. You can't shoot 2 million people, right? So what would they have to do to stop that amount of numbers? So what they did was they pulled the bill back. They pulled it back. They said, okay.
Their military is 2.5 million.
The whole military? The whole Chinese military is 2.5 million. Okay. And then the protesters were 2 million. And I'm sure they could get more than that. That was just one night. Okay. So yeah, all the marching and protesting did make a difference because the numbers, if it was 2 people, if it was 2 of us out there marching, nobody gives a crap.
That was us yesterday.
that was us yesterday. There was 3 of us waving flags around. But no, if it was just a couple people marching, they're not going to care. But 2 million people in the street saying, F you, it ain't happening, you're not extraditing us, they pulled the bill back. Now, they haven't said that it's completely dead, but they pulled it back and they said, okay, it's on hold indefinitely. So that's like... Huh?
She apologized too.
Oh, Sherry?
The comedy.
Carrie Lam.
Yeah.
So Carrie Lam, their chief executive of Hong Kong, she kind of like backpedaled and said she was sorry and this and that, but she probably has no choice, honestly. I mean, she's under China's...
She's a commie.
She's under China's thumb, even though she says she's for the Hong Kong people.
Hang her.
She probably has no choice,
Hang her.
Joey's saying hang her. So it did make a difference, Sherry. So, I don't want to call you out, but people like you who say, oh, it's not going to make a difference, and so I'm not going to do anything, that's just making an excuse, okay? You're making an excuse to sit on your ass and do nothing, okay? Imagine if our forefathers had said that. Seriously? Oh, it's not going to make a difference if we fight. The British, they're too big. We can't do anything. Forget it.
A lot of people did say that.
Yeah. Oh, of course they did. A lot of people did say that. Give me a break. If they had said that, we wouldn't be in America. There would be no America. Man. Let me see. Minaj says, tell us more about the things you've seen in China, etc., and Americans need to know. Well, we're not in China. We're in Hong Kong. So, 1 country, 2 systems. I don't know. It's kind of like being in New York City, but a little bit more compact. Everybody speaks English. It's nice, you know. It's pretty clean. It's very humid, so there's kind of a lot of mold in certain places and stuff because it's so humid all the time. But for the most part, it's clean, and there's, I don't know if you know much about Hong Kong, but it's like, Hong Kong is like shopping and nice restaurants and lots of high rises. You know, it's kind of like a mini New York City, in my opinion.
A lot of tiny people too.
A lot of tiny people.
Giant.
Yeah, we look like giants here. We definitely are taller than most people. But no, everybody's really nice and gracious. Well, no, not everybody. When we were waving our flags in front of the China Army complex yesterday, because there's like a communist China Army complex in the middle of Hong Kong. So we took our flags down there and we were waving them. We did get milkshakes thrown on us by a communist. So we got milkshaked. You know, you haven't lived until you've been milkshaked. They didn't milkshake us like our person, but they milkshaked both of our flags. And then it wasn't technically a milkshake. It was called milk tea, but it looked like kind of like chocolate milk or something. So yeah, some guy came up and threw a bottle of milk tea on our flags and then ran off. We have it on video. We'll post it later, but the quality was really bad. Oh, you were joking about Johnny Depp. Okay. People, you know, you can't really, sarcasm doesn't really come through online. You kind of have to, Sherry says, then do you think Americans would ever come together like that? They are always making excuses not to vote and all the 10 things. Yeah, that's the problem with America. There's just too much throwing their hands up and saying somebody else will handle it. Or not my problem. You know, or I can't make a difference, or I'm scared. You know, that's Joey's whole entire premise why he started Patriot Prayer, because he finally decided that the problems that were going on in America, specifically with Antifa beating up people that were leaving presidential rallies, you know, that's what sparked it in him. But he didn't want to just allow that to fall on somebody else's shoulders. Because nobody was doing anything about it. So he said, you know what, I'm going to take this on. It's huge, but I'm going to take this on. I'm going to put it on my shoulders, and I'm going to see what I can do about it. And, I mean, you have to try, right? And that's the problem is people don't even want to try because we're lulled by our computers. We're lulled by our TVs. We're lulled by celebrities who gives a shit about a celebrity? I don't care about celebrities. I could give a crap. I don't even care about, like, I love music so much, I don't even care about musicians anymore. It's like, I don't care. All of that is designed as a distraction from the real issues that are happening, and that's what we need to teach our kids. We need to teach our kids that those things do not matter. Fame and Hollywood and fame and fortune do not matter. You know how many times I've been approached by talent agencies for my daughter? Oh my God, your daughter needs to be a model. Oh, I can make her into a singer. Oh, she could be on TV. Oh my God, she's this, she's that. And I'm like, no.
Pedophiles.
Sorry, not interested, okay? And, you know, me maybe 10 years ago would have thought, ooh, that's so cool. Oh, yeah, you know, I want my daughter to be, you know, well-known, famous, or I'll make a lot of money and this, that. Now, no, I want my daughter to just make a difference. That's what I want my daughter to do. That's what I hope for my daughter. I want her to be a good person and make a difference. That's all I want for her. That's it. I don't want her to be famous. I don't give a crap about Hollywood. I don't give a crap about TV. I have a TV in my house. I haven't watched it in forever. I need to cancel my subscription. It's like, I only have it for my dad who comes to visit me a couple nights a week because he's so bored and all he does is watch TV and whatever. It's fine. So, but no, I mean, you're asking what can we do? We have to have more conversations, like real conversations with the youth. We have to have real conversations with the little kids. We have to have real conversations with elementary school, all the way to high school, all the way to college, and let these people know, like, all this other stuff doesn't matter. Like, at the end of your life, do you want to be known for, like, your high score on Candy Crush?
Yeah.
Or do you want to, like, be known for, like, being a really good person, making a difference, trying? Just try. You have to try. You have to try. You have to give it 110%. If you don't try you know how much chance you have of succeeding? Absolutely zero. Zero. There's either a 0% chance or there is a chance. I mean, which one would you like to choose? Yeah, Portland is finally unmasking people. Joey's been trying to address that for a while. That's exactly right.
Suck
That's exactly
it,
right.
Antifa.
Get dad on DDP yoga. What is that? Focusing on the light of the truth changes the world. Thank you, Bob. I agree. It will take more than showing up with signs. Yes, it does take more than showing up with signs, but that's a start. So if that's where you need to start, we need to encourage people to start wherever they are.
I start with flag holding.
Joey started with flag waving with his kids. He probably went out there several dozen times, flag waving on the corner with his kids. And then eventually, one guy decided to join him. And instead of just Joey flag waving, it was Joey and one other guy. And then a couple more people started flag waving with him. And then a couple more people. And then he decided to go ahead and throw a rally. So you just have to start where you are, but start with something. And you can't be afraid to talk about this stuff. It's so funny, like, you talk about this stuff with people and they're like, I don't really care, I know so many people that don't even care. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know about it. They don't want to deal with it. It's not their problem. They'd rather just exist. Whatever. There's going to be people like that. That's fine. But if you can inspire a few people to get involved, we need it. Lisa says, here's the problem. How to call everyone to come together. I'm shadow banned, trying to share things on Facebook about citizens building the wall. Our social media is censored badly. It is. It's another obstacle that we have to overcome. Especially conservatives. We all know that these big social media companies are run usually by the liberal side. And so the conservatives are getting censored more and more. And that's another obstacle that we have to try to overcome. Period.
Call me when you're done.
All right. But that's another obstacle that we have to overcome. So overcome it. Do what you can. Start another account. Open up another account. Get more friends again. Or do YouTube. There's other platforms now that people are getting involved in. There's tons of platforms. So just try to use them all. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time to go from like Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and MeWe and Facebook and all the different platforms. But I guess you can just, try other ones. But hey, if nobody said it was easy, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, Right, Lisa? Hey, Adrienne. Do you think I'm making excuses to do nothing? That's great, Sherry. I'm glad that you're doing all that stuff. But it sounded like in your first comment that you were like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. So I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of discouraging people at all. So if there's something that hasn't worked for me or it's not working, then I want to figure out the lesson from that situation and then expose that lesson to people, and share that lesson with people. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I tried to, I tried to throw a meeting or I tried to throw a rally and it didn't work and blah, blah, blah. You can't just say rallies don't work, nobody shows up, So in my opinion, if something doesn't work, that's fine. It was a lesson to be learned. You figure out what the lesson is, you take it in, you learn from it, you express that lesson with other people, share what doesn't work and share what does work, and then navigate your way through to success eventually, or just getting closer and closer to success, or just, getting a little bit closer to making a difference, and every step you take makes a difference, whether you know it or not. Energetically and spiritually, I know, because I work with people's energy and I work with God, and spiritually and energetically, it makes a huge difference. So, you can say that again, it's not if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. This is a spiritual battle, okay? At the end of the day, it's not really going to matter if we individually win or lose. What's going to matter is how we played the game and how much we put into it and how much passion and heart did we have. And if we gave up or didn't give up, that's what's going to matter at the end of the day. So, I mean, for me, and I don't know what your spiritual affiliation is, but I know from a spiritual standpoint that what matters is what we're doing with our relationship with God and what we're doing to forward our elevation or our evolution as spiritual beings, because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So whatever really happens in this like matrix human experience avatar situation that we're living in, that doesn't really matter that much. I mean, we can try to fight against these things. So I believe that we have these things here to fight against. We have all these bad things and good things on earth. And let me know if this resonates with anybody. We have good and bad on earth in order for us as spirits to be able to make choices. Okay? So we have to have the bad or there is no good. We have to have it. We have to have tyranny. We have to have angry people. We have to have murder. We have to have all these negative, bad, hurtful things in order to make a choice on whether we want to be like that or whether we don't want to be like that. We have to be able to see and feel and experience good and bad on this planet in order to then learn discernment and learn interpersonal spiritual strength to choose to go to the light, to choose the good, to choose to walk with God as opposed to not walking with God, you know? So for us, with Patriot Prayer, and Joey and I have the same belief, we use God as our strength, as our courage to move us forward. Without that, we couldn't do anything that we do at all. Like, we just can't. That's our core belief, is that we can use God to give us the strength to move forward and guide us in the right direction and help us and give us the courage to know that we're a part of something bigger. This is a spiritual war. This little human game that we're playing, you like playing video games? We're in a video game right now. We're in a little human video game in our little avatars, just like the movie. When I watched that movie, I was like, this movie is real. That is what we are. We are living in an avatar. We're not humans. We are spirits. It's so mind-boggling once this clicks for you and you understand that we are spirits just living as a human for a minute, for a blip of time. Then that gives you such a different perspective, and you don't have to win every battle. You don't have to go and win every city council meeting. You don't have to win every election. You don't have to win over every government. You don't have to win every single game you play. You just have to keep moving forward in the light direction, in the direction of God, and keep expanding that way as opposed to the other way. And as long as you're doing that, you are personally winning. It's a personal spiritual battle. Okay? And when you connect with more people and bring them in and show them the way, that will help more and more people elevate and help things get better and better and better. But really, all the individual things that are going to get you down, as far as like, oh, that didn't work, or getting people together doesn't work, or whatever, if you let that discourage you, that is evil winning. Do you see what I'm saying? If you let those little losses discourage you, that is what evil wants. That is exactly what evil wants. So don't let that discourage you. You can't let it. It's a trick. It's a trick. Just remember, this is like a video game matrix that we're in. So you just have to keep going and navigate your way through it and figure out to get where you want to go. But really, it's just a matter of your heart and how much you're going to put into it. So that's my opinion. That's Joey's opinion. He gave us free will. That's right, Lisa, in order to do right or wrong. And thank you, Charles. This resonates with you. Good. Haven't heard that in a while. Anyway, if anybody has any questions for me, let me know before I go. I wanted to come in here. I had to get some things off my chest. I was in tears most of the morning. I know you guys are celebrating back home, but there wasn't a lot of celebrating going on here. It really hurt my feelings. It made me sad spiritually to see these people suffering and to see them know what their fate is going to be. It really made me sad. So I wanted to share that with you so that you could understand, and hopefully it will resonate with some people to just, follow your heart and do something about it. So thank you guys for watching. I don't really see any questions on here right now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Hopefully we can inspire some of you to do some things, to use your heart and walk in the light and do some things to make a difference for humanity, for our temporary humanity that we do have, because that is going to just mirror what's happening on the spiritual side, and that's what really matters. So, everything that we can do here on earth is helping us elevate as spirits. Everything good that we do. So those are your choices. You can choose the dark or the light. So just hopefully choose the light, choose God. Pray for us that we continue to do some good work here, and we're going to come back and do more lives. There's going to be more protests. We're going to do more lives, and we're going to post some more interviews with people, and you'll get to see firsthand, how sad and scared and fearful these people are. So hopefully we can all do something about it and share the message, and we appreciate your support. So anyway, God bless. We'll talk to you soon.